Do you know who was driving that car, that Tesla? You don't have to tell me, but do you know the identity?
Yeah, as far as it going to the final, that what we believe is the final parking spot where it was towed from, yes.
Fans have pointed out that both she and David had that same small shh tattoo on their fingers. And if that wasn't eerie enough, David has this unreleased song with Celeste in the title that's been reported. And that is when he made his move and hired his own PI. He told TMZ and the Daily Mail that his family wanted answers about what might have happened in or around.
New explosive twists have surfaced in the shocking unaliving of David's girlfriend. And it's darker than anyone imagined. Celeste, a private investigator tied to the case, just dropped major bombs that flipped everything upside down. Word on the street is she was slayed inside David's own home. But that's only scratching the surface. What came next will freeze your blood. This isn't just another Hollywood scandal. It's straight nightmare fuel.
Started on September 8th when LAPD officers were called to a tow yard on Mansfield Avenue in Hollywood after workers noticed this foul odor coming from a Tesla that had been sitting there. That car was registered to 20-year-old singer David, real name David Anthony Burke, the Houston-born artist behind the hit Romantic Homicide. That Tesla had been abandoned near the Hollywood Hills rental property, towed away, and was just sitting there. And when officers opened the front trunk, they found something horrific. Human remains wrapped in plastic.
It all started when workers at a Hollywood impound lot noticed an unbearable stench seeping from an abandoned Tesla on September 8th, 2025. The smell was so bad, they thought something had died inside. And tragically, they were right. The car had been parked for days, quietly rotting away in the corner of the lot after being towed from a street near the Hollywood Hills on September 5th.
2 days later, it was confirmed that that body belonged to 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a teen runaway who had been missing from Lake Elsinore since April of 2024. Her remains were decomposed, suggesting that she had been in that car for weeks.
It had racked up tickets like a ghost car, unnoticed, until the odor made sure nobody could ignore it anymore. When officials opened that Tesla, what they found was pure horror. Inside was a body so decomposed, it barely looked human, wrapped in layers of plastic like someone had tried to erase their crime. Experts say the condition suggested this wasn't recent. Passing might have come weeks, maybe even months before that discovery.
To be clear, since then, there's been no suspects that have been named, no persons of interest, no arrests. David has canceled his tour. He's moved out of that mansion. He has transferred properties that he owned in Texas to his mother. The whole thing has been a lot of unanswered questions.
The Los Angeles County medical examiner couldn't immediately tell how she died. The remains were too far gone. The cause and manner of passing were officially deferred, pending deep forensic testing and toxicology reports that could take months. But even with the decay, investigators caught critical clues that would blow the lid off the mystery. The victim was found wearing a black top, black pants, a gold necklace, and a gold ring. But one detail stood out more than anything. On her right index finger was a small tattoo. One single word that would soon become the key to everything. The Tesla wasn't just any car. It was registered to a rising 20-year-old star who blew up on TikTok with viral hits and heartbreak lyrics.
A home that was owned by a man named Malden Trifonich. And officers reportedly collected electronics, computers. They searched the drains for traces of blood or tissue. At least that's the reporting from TMZ. Can't officially confirm that. But this homeowner had said that after he'd heard almost nothing from the LAPD about what they found, he was frustrated.
That artist was none other than David. Real name David Anthony Burke, a Queens-born, Houston-raised phenom who went from gaming clips to global fame in a blink. He started off dropping Fortnite montage videos on YouTube, just a kid trying to make noise online. But when copyright issues blocked his hustle, he decided to make his own beats. That bold move changed everything. His breakout single, Romantic Homicide, exploded across the internet, stacking up millions of streams and landing him a massive deal with Interscope Records. Overnight, David wasn't just an underground name. He was the face of Gen Z heartbreak and the voice behind some of the internet's darkest anthems.
Do you know who was driving that car, that Tesla? You don't have to tell me, but do you know the identity?
Yeah, as far as it going to the final, that what we believe is the final parking spot where it was towed from, yes.
And that information's been communicated to law enforcement.
So when that Tesla, his Tesla, turned up with a body inside, Both cops and fans lost it. Investigators scrambled, and the internet went into full-blown meltdown mode. The victim, Celeste Rivas, had a complicated story too. Born to Salvadoran immigrant parents, she'd been through a storm of her own. Police reports showed she'd been reported missing at least 3 times in 2024 alone. Each time she came back, but this time she didn't. Then came the bombshell detail that set social media on fire. Celeste had a small "shh" tattoo inked on her right index finger, and so did David. The same design, same spot. The internet erupted, with fans posting side-by-side screenshots, old photos, and even Discord leaks claiming the two were secretly linked. As the frenzy grew, a private investigator stepped in.
I'll have a much better understanding of when that Tesla arrived at that final parking spot. I'll tell you, I do have surveillance from different houses in the neighborhood showing the Tesla being moved. So things like that, and I'm not even saying that LAPD didn't have that. I'm sure they did, but we wanted to make sure, and we did some work on the up-resing the footage to find out who was driving the vehicle.
And that's when the LAPD made a surprising move. They announced they were treating this as an open homicide investigation, not an official homicide. At least, not yet. They insisted no solid proof of foul play had been confirmed, but no one was buying that calm tone. Something about this case just screamed cover-up. The investigation suddenly flipped on its head, and what came next changed everything. Crucial new info started surfacing about what really went down in the weeks and months before that horrifying discovery. On September 17, 2025, just 9 days after the body was found, LAPD detectives rolled up to the Hollywood Hills mansion David had been renting. And they came with a search warrant. This wasn't some casual visit.
Former landlord, really appreciate you taking the time here to talk about this. First off, Steve, how were you hired? How were you retained in this matter?
We're talking about a full-blown raid on a $3.6 to $4 million property, one David had been paying nearly $20,000 a month to live in. The kind of house with glass walls, private gates, and secrets that don't stay buried for long. The operation was massive. Officers swept through the property room by room, collecting evidence like they were hunting for ghosts. They grabbed a digital video recorder connected to the home's surveillance system and performed deep forensic tests, even swabbing for traces of blood. Every inch of that mansion became a potential clue to a nightmare that was only getting darker. But here's where it gets messy. The property owner, Maladin Revy, said the cops went silent after the raid. He claimed they left him completely in the dark, not telling him what they found, what they took, or how his multi-million-dollar home had gotten wrapped up in one of the most twisted cases in Hollywood. So Revy decided to take matters into his own hands. He hired his own private investigator, Steve Fisher, a veteran known for solving cases cops couldn't crack. And that move, it would change everything. On October 18, 2025, reports started dropping that Fisher had uncovered new surveillance footage from neighboring properties in the Hollywood Hills. Footage the LAPD somehow didn't have.
Like that. And then all of a sudden, the very beginning of the year, that car, something happens, and that car's doesn't show up anymore. It's not used. It seems to disappear. And then that red Tesla learned, which we didn't know until the search warrant was served, that there's a red Tesla in the garage.
What the video showed was jaw-dropping. It captured the Tesla's last known movement, dated July 29th. The car was seen driving past a security camera, and even though the footage was a little blurry, the driver's face was visible. Fisher reportedly knows exactly who was behind that wheel. But here's the catch. He's keeping the name under wraps due to the sensitivity of the active LAPD case. That silence says it all. As Fisher dug deeper, he started connecting dots the public never saw coming. Piece by piece, a terrifying timeline began to form, one that pointed to something far darker than a simple disappearance.
I'm joined by private investigator Steve Fisher, who was hired by David's...
According to his findings, that same Tesla, the one later found at the impound lot, had been abandoned in late July, weeks before anyone even realized something was horribly wrong. Right before David was set to kick off his now-canceled Withered World Tour, which had been scheduled to start on August 5th, 2025, everything fell apart. What was supposed to be his biggest career moment turned into a real-life horror story that nobody saw coming. Investigators later noticed the Tesla had thick layers of dirt caked across it, proof it hadn't been touched in weeks. maybe longer. That car was just sitting there in silence, collecting dust and parking tickets until it finally got hauled off to the impound lot. But private investigator Steve Fisher wasn't convinced the story ended there. Not even close. Fisher dropped what many are calling the most shocking revelation of the entire case. After analyzing physical evidence and witness timelines, he revealed that he believes Celeste's passing happened much earlier than anyone thought. Not in July, but possibly way back in January or February of 2025. And even more chilling.
Listen, investigations are always moving, and right now I tend to believe it happened a while ago, a long time ago, and I think January, February, things changed. I mean, you can see it in the photos and everything. And
Fisher says it didn't happen in the same mansion the LAPD raided, but in another rental property David had lived in, just 1 mile down the same Hollywood Hills street. He described what he found as scary, sadistic stuff, hinting that someone may have attempted an elaborate cover-up, an effort to hide Celeste's body in a more permanent, gruesome way that thankfully failed. According to Fisher's theory, Celeste's passing may have started as a tragic overdose. But what came after, the concealment, the silence, the secrecy, turned the tragedy into a full-blown nightmare. Still, Fisher made it clear he doesn't have direct evidence of foul play or proof that David personally caused her unaliving. His focus is on the cover-up that followed, the attempt to keep it quiet, and the trail of mistakes that eventually blew the whole thing open. The fallout for David has been devastating. Within days of the body's discovery, his entire tour was canceled. Every bit of promotion for his upcoming album got scrapped, and his big money brand deals with Hollister and Crocs were immediately terminated. Sponsors ran for the hills, and David's career hit an instant freeze. He's now lawyered up with powerhouse defense attorney Blair Burke, known for representing celebrities in major scandals. Sources say David's been cooperating with investigators, though he's stayed completely silent in public.
Listen, a crime 100% happened here. At minimum, it's the concealment of a body, right? So we know somebody did that. Hopefully it's not, a mutilation. Hopefully those initial reports were wrong about her being dismembered.
And here's where things get even sketchier. Just days after the raid, on September 18th and September 22nd, 2025, David transferred ownership of 2 Houston area homes to his mother. Those sudden moves lined up perfectly with both the LAPD's mansion raid and a shocking swatting incident at one of those Texas properties. Too many coincidences, too much chaos, and still, no clear answers about what really happened to Celeste. As of October 19th, 2025, this chilling case is still wide open, and the silence surrounding it is deafening. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office hasn't closed the book. The cause of passing is still deferred, with toxicology results still pending. Every new day without answers only deepens the mystery. No suspects have been named, no arrests have been made, and yet, the shadow of suspicion continues to hang thick over everything. Over David, over the investigation, over Hollywood itself. People want the truth, but all they're getting is silence, confusion, and whispers of what might have really gone down. The world's watching closely, waiting for the next piece of this twisted puzzle to drop. Something happened in that Tesla. Something dark. And until the results come in, everyone's stuck asking the same question. Who's hiding what? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories just like this. And I'll see you on the next one.